Which region of Russia is resisting the Kremlin more strongly than any other? The answer may surprise many people. It is not Moscow, not St. Petersburg, not even the Caucasus. It is the Republic of Bashkortostan. More than 4 million people live here, a larger population than that of some independent European states. Bashkortostan is Russia's most populous national republic and one of the country's most important industrial regions. It produces oil, aircraft engines, petrochemicals, and defense industry products. But the region's greatest asset is not its factories, it is its people, a people who resisted imperial rule for centuries. The Bashkirs became part of the Muscovite state following conquest and agreements that formalized their incorporation. Moscow guaranteed the preservation of their lands, religion, and self-government, but almost immediately it began violating its own promises. The response was more than a century of recurring uprisings. Virtually every generation of Bashkirs rose up against the empire. After the uprising of 1704 to 1711, Bashkortostan remained largely beyond Moscow's effective control for nearly 30 years. And in 1917, the Bashkirs became the first people of the former Russian Empire to proclaim their own national autonomy. Bashkortostan became the first national territorial autonomy in Russian history. These events remain an important part of Bashkir national memory to this day. Today, the republic formally retains its own constitution, parliament, state symbols, and 2 official languages, Bashkir and Russian. But its real autonomy has gradually been dismantled. In the 1990s, Bashkortostan controlled its own oil company, Bashneft. Later, Moscow effectively brought it under the control of the state-owned oil giant Rosneft. The story of Bashneft became one of the clearest examples of how the Kremlin centralizes control over the wealth of Russia's national republics. At the same time, Bashkortostan remains one of Russia's most economically developed regions. It is home to one of Europe's largest oil refining complexes. Aircraft engines for Russian military aircraft are manufactured here. The republic also has major petrochemical, engineering, and agricultural industries. Economically, Bashkortostan is fully capable of sustaining itself. But Bashkortostan has also emerged as a major center of contemporary resistance. In 2020, thousands of people took to the streets to defend the sacred Pushtu Hill from industrial development. Despite pressure from the security forces, the protesters prevailed. Pushtu was preserved. It was one of the very few cases in which the authorities were forced to back down. A few years later, an even larger protest erupted. In January 2024, the trial of Bashkir activist Fail Alsanov brought as many as 10,000 people onto the streets of the town of Baimak. For a small town, this was an unprecedented mobilization. After the protests were dispersed, dozens of people faced criminal charges. Baimak itself became a symbol of resistance. Since the beginning of Russia's full-scale war against Ukraine, Bashkortostan has simultaneously ranked among the regions with the highest numbers of military fatalities and among those with the highest levels of protest activity. This combination is virtually unparalleled elsewhere in Russia. Today, the Bashkir national movement continues its activities both inside the republic and in exile. For many Bashkirs, the question is no longer how to gain greater autonomy, it is how to restore a form of statehood that existed before. Bashkortostan has a developed industrial economy, a population of several million, its own political tradition, and one of the strongest national identities among Russia's regions. That is why many researchers consider it one of the regions best positioned to become a viable independent state in the event of the collapse of the Russian Federation.